Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing well. And it's been quite a while since we came out with another episode of Ivy EdTalk. My name is Asad Hashmali, and I will be today's moderator. With me, we have Miss Alia Hashim, as you all know, the head of school at the Ivy School.
Hi, everyone.
Now, to give you some context as to what Ivy EdTalk is a podcast for parents related to the new education platforms and the new education theories and how this field is actually developing and what we want to do different at the Ivy School. As you know, the Ivy School is a more learner-centric, it's a more inquiry-based school, and we try to adopt different theories, different practices which, based on research, have proven to be effective, and also try to fill in the gaps which arise in the local education scene over here in Karachi. So today we're going to be talking about your new initiative, right? Which
Yes,
is
our Ivy Art Ed.
Ivy Art Ed. Now, just you saw, I'm pretty sure everyone saw a post on Facebook about a blurb and a picture which just said Ivy Art
Art
Ed.
Ed, yeah.
What is Ivy Art Ed? Let's start off with that.
Well, Ivy Art Ed is basically our art education program. And I think one thing that we're trying to do through this platform is to get people on board with art education in Pakistan. You see, because everybody is, every child has so much artistic talent in them.
Yeah.
And it's so important to bring that out and to expose them to high quality artist studies, to expose them to high quality art, to build in them the appreciation of art. So I feel like this is how I teach art to my son, and I've seen how it has helped him build his creativity skills. So I feel like this is a very important platform to have in this day and age for children, for young children.
That's great to see, actually, because growing up in Hong Kong, I don't remember what I did in art class, but over here when I moved, I remember still life was the thing. There's a pot in the center, aap bas bana le. So that was how it was. But so why is art so important for in general for kids? You mentioned it boosts creativity and it's helped your son as well. But why is it so important?
Well, I think I'm going to start with telling you about this research that came out a couple years ago, which is basically about how all children are born creative geniuses.
Right.
And how do we know that? Is that this scientist who actually administered tests at NASA for creativity, he kind of gave these tests to young children who were 5 years old.
Right.
And then this was a longitudinal study which went up to till they were 24. And he kind of mapped how their creativity levels increased or decreased over time. And he found that in the beginning, all the kids had like 98% scores on creativity.
Right.
And over time, at I think 15 years, it went down to 30%. And at age 24, it just went down to 2%.
Really?
Yeah.
And these are the same lot of children?
The same lot of children.
Okay, so from 2%, from 98% all the way down to 2%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I think what that implies is that at 5, when you're not in a very structured system, even in schooling, let's say, so children have are empowered to create and to explore and to build on ideas. I mean, even today, if you give a 5-year-old an idea which is impossible, an adult will just say, okay, this is impossible, and not even think about it. But a 5-year-old will take your idea, however impossible it is, and build on it.
Yeah. And they go on so many different tangents, which I think even as grown-ups we won't ever reach.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, but why is it so important at an early childhood stage?
Well, you see, because we want to arrest the decline that happens in later years, let's say. So, how can we build that creativity in children and ensure that it sustains over time? Let's say, right? And why we need to do this? The question is like, why do we need to do this? Why do our children need to be creative, let's say, right? So the thing is, every child is not an artist.
Right.
But creativity on its own is a skill that needs to be nurtured. Because as we're going into the 21st century, we keep talking about 21st century skills. We talk about creative problem solving. We talk about critical thinking. And all these are things that stem from creativity.
Right.
And as I don't know what future jobs are going to come up, but what is something that we are seeing over time is that a lot of the very repetitive tasks are becoming automated.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And subjects like math and science are also vulnerable to this automation.
Right.
So one thing that we feel we will need in the future is people who are compassionate,
right,
who have creative intelligence, who have empathy, who have communication skills.
Right.
And that is all stuff that we can encourage through art.
Right.
So that's why
And
art.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a lot harder to instill these values and to instill these ideas into a teenager around the age of 17 or 18. And even though they're entering the workforce sooner than the kids in at a younger age, it just becomes very hard to actually help them learn that they need to step out of their comfort zone, outside the box per se. So
because they're in a stage, look, like when a child enters school, what is the first thing we teach them? We're like, okay, follow directions, sit in your seat, be quiet.
Yes,
literally a whole bunch of things just kind of puts them into this tiny little box of structure.
Exactly.
And what we need to do is kind of remove that. Okay, it's important to follow directions, it's important to be in a certain way, but we cannot completely sort of lock down all the creativity and potential that a child has at that age.
Right.
And when by the time you're saying they reach 15 and 16 and 17, they're just so into that structure.
Exactly. It's very hard to, maybe 1 out of 10, 1 out of 5 will maybe step out of that and understand that, okay, this is the word. I need these 21st century skills.
Yeah.
So, okay, fair. Now, you mentioned all these values that you try to instill and that are instilled through art. How is that replicated, or how is that brought into the art program at Ivy?
Well, what we're trying to do through Ivy Art Ed is basically that we're introducing children to, let's say, noted grandmasters of art. For example, in the first quarter this year, we did Henry Matisse.
Okay.
And just like that, at the next quarter, maybe we'll do Van Gogh and Monet and Vasily Kandinsky and all these really great grandmasters who have techniques that are different, who have
so I can see that. So Henry Matisse is very cut out, very vibrant. Van Gogh goes all Starry Nights, which is classic.
Yeah.
Alright, so so different textures as well are implemented into this.
So what happens is that when you introduce a child to an artist, let's say, so you are instilling a couple of different skills in that child. Like, first of all, art appreciation. Art is there to be appreciated. There is a lot that we can learn from it. Second, you are building technique.
Right.
So what was the technique of, let's say, Henry Matisse? He started out as somebody who's very traditional, very conventional, doing a still life, which you said in the beginning. And then over time, he realized he didn't want to do that. And he went through this whole phase of Impressionism and Post-Impressionism, Fauvism. And then eventually he became somebody who went completely abstract.
Right.
And one of his last paintings, the snail, is something that doesn't look the least like a snail at all.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So the idea is that getting children to think like an artist, guiding them through that process, that tells them a little bit about technique, that tells them about how to experiment, how to create. Now,
you say technique. When I hear technique, I hear something that is very rigid, and these are the rules and the guidelines.
Yeah.
If you do want the child to be step out of the 4 lines that they are conventionally put into, how does the technique element come into this? I understand that you want the child to think like an artist, and to have their own voice on that canvas, or whatever that medium is. That doesn't have to be a canvas necessarily. So how does the element of technique come into this at an early childhood stage? Like, for example, are you able to actually teach the child that there's certain strokes which are going to express this or that? And
of course, there's mood, there's color, there is theme, there's a lot that goes into art. So, like, if we're, for instance, once again, I'll just take the Matisse example, that since he was into cutouts, so that doesn't mean that you kind of follow the same pattern that Matisse did. What we can do is we can give children different materials to make cutouts with, and they can do it with newspapers, they can do it with crepe paper, they can do it with anything that they find, that is as inspiring. And they're like, okay, the idea is let's take all these pieces and we put them together and make something and create something.
Right.
So that is the artistic thinking process.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting, cool. So, culturally now, how do you think parents? I think I've seen your boy since he was a wee little lad. So I've seen him actually be exposed to so many different mediums of not only creativity but also about in reading and just basically developing. So how do you think that parents can actually take that step forward? For example, if I look at the art culture in Pakistan, I see something that is very traditional, very Mughlai as well.
Yes, very traditional. And also, यहाँ पे art galleries में nobody is really inviting children to come in.
Exactly. It's very creative,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'd be child friendly per se, right? Even Amin Gulji, for example.
Yeah.
Amin Gulji's father has some great works which are all across Pakistan.
Yeah.
But how can we, or not me as a parent, I'm not that old yet, but how can parents actually expose the child to that, to the cultural art in Pakistan, or help them understand that there's a certain thought process that comes through it as well?
Well, I think in Pakistan, I think we're very art rich, and culturally there is art all around us.
Yes.
एक truck जा रही है, truck पे truck art हुआ हुआ है. You know, you can expose your child to that.
Right.
You can come home and talk about it. You can create something related to it, right? You have there is just like you mentioned Amin Gulji sculptures, right?
Yes.
And there is Sadiq Khan's calligraphy.
Yes.
All this is part of our culture. There's handiworks done by Sindhi women, the rilli that they make.
Ajraks, yes.
The ajraks.
Yeah.
There's art all around us. If we want, we can bring that into our child, talk about it, that this is art and why is it art, what is the creative process behind it, how can you recreate art.
So creating that love for
the love and the appreciation,
okay.
And, that can come. And then there are some places I think that are also open to children. Let's say like the State Bank of Pakistan has a museum, and in that museum they have a level where there's an art gallery.
Really?
And children are allowed to, I think, go in there. So that is.
And then you have, I think you have these exhibitions at Mahatma Palace as well on a regular basis.
Yes, you do. Yes.
And then there's, but something like this, like art ed happening, this is very new.
Yeah, and you know even the Matisse Exhibition that is upcoming,
right.
the Ivy Matisse Exhibition is completely catered to children.
Right.
The idea is to have a bunch of interactive, child-appropriate activities that children can actually highly engage with,
right.
and which actually have some kind of learning objective.
Right.
So अभी यहाँ पे ये होता है, if there's something related to art happening in Karachi, the child will come home with a painted pot and some kind of I don't know, food plate with, and that's what the art mela would be like.
Right.
But what is the learning objective? What is the idea behind it? If we're trying to instill artistic thinking or instill art appreciation, how are we doing it?
Right. Of course. And I also think that there's a certain barrier that parents need to also be breaking. Again, speaking from like my example earlier, I don't think my parents, when I was around 8 or 9, I don't think my parents would have been very responsive. Rather, they wouldn't have been upset that I was more creative than academic, but I felt shy to actually open up about these things.
Yeah, but you see, that's the whole idea. Creative and academic is not different.
Exactly.
And what
now
happens
now I'm hitting that for the first time.
So we kind of tend to separate them.
Right.
But that's not true. Like there is creativity in neuroscience. There is creativity in everything. I mean, there's creativity in math, like in things that we've been culturally taught that there is no creativity, there is still creativity.
Exactly. Even when it comes to like, if you want to become an actuarialist, we have to make combinations and permutations, so on. That requires some level of
creative intelligence.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So I would say that art is a way. I mean, you can teach a lot of subjects through art. You can teach English language arts through art. Like you can teach vocabulary through art. You can teach literature through drama and other kinds of art.
Exactly.
So you see, there's like always a connection. You can integrate art into almost every subject.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think art needs to be kept alone as a painting or a sketch or a drawing. Art could be a theater play. It could be music as well for many.
Yes.
And maybe just literature on its own. Exactly as you said. There's different mediums of expressing yourself, and I think that parents need to let their child be aware of these mediums as well, or also be equally welcoming of those different
equally welcoming. In fact, art would be able to engage children and deepen their learning about a topic.
Right.
It is a medium that a lot of parents can use to deepen learning about a topic that they feel that their child is, let's say, not too excited about.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, interesting, very cool. So I think the last point that I just want to make with you is you mentioned the Matisse Exhibition.
Yes.
What is that?
The Matisse Exhibition is basically this very one-of-a-kind immersive art experience that we're having at Ivy here, and it's happening in November.
Okay.
And what we're planning is that every year we're going to have one or two big grandmaster gallery grades art exhibits
Okay.
where children can come in and they can learn all about that artist, the life
That's
and the
great.
works of those artists, and they can talk about it's basically catered to younger kids. It's 4 to 10-year-olds, and so everything that has been made is made in a way that those 4 to 10-year-olds will come. They will let's say look at a painting. They will create their own work. They will get to take it home. They can they will be given art kits where they can practice things at home, and there will be a lot of ideas that they will be engaging with.
So it's like warping back into the past.
Yeah, it's kind of like pretty cool, because where do you really have an art exhibit tailored to this age group?
Exactly.
Right?
That yes, for sure. And then also walking through the entire history and seeing that at a young age. What's the age group that?
It's 4 to 10-year-olds. Yeah.
4 to 10. Okay, so then I
But
can only
think even
imagine
older
how
kids,
how crazy they might be going through this whole thing right now.
I think parents will enjoy it too, and so will older kids. Like so that but I know it's
awesome.
just
This is so cool. This is like a live episode of Doctor Who. And this is where he goes into time and he meets Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Any final words you'd like to make? Any point that you'd just like to touch upon for parents, especially, to maybe be a little more?
I think one thing as a society that we need to do is to become more receptive to art.
Right.
We tend to kind of make art the second citizen of the curriculum. It is there's always like this palpable tension. There's like art and math. Okay, no, let's have 2 math sessions and let's skip the art altogether. Let's cut the art, but don't cut the art. Art is important because it is the foundational nature of children to experience art and to interact with it and to build on their ideas through it. 100%. So I think if there's one message here that I want to give everybody is don't cut the art.
100%.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah,
this is fun. And hopefully we'll be releasing these on a more regular basis now.
Yes.
So maybe I'm not here next time. Maybe someone else is. But who knows? Yes. Till then.
I will be here though.
Yes. So the art exhibition, the Meet Matisse art exhibition is happening on November.
I think it is the November 13th.
November 13th. Basically, the 3rd week of November.
It's the 3rd or 4th week of November.
3rd or 4th week of November. All right. So there's going to be an event page going up. Tickets are going to be available as well. More details are going to be coming soon about the Meet Matisse exhibition. So stay tuned for that. Till then, hope you guys all have a great weekend. And parents, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message. You can inbox us. Our number is on our Facebook page and the website. You can give us a call at any time as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.